This dog doesn't care about you. And that sentence alone makes most people uncomfortable. Some people hear it as cruelty. Some hear it as neglect. Some hear it as bad ownership. And almost everyone hears it as a failure. Because we've been taught that care equals goodness, that affection equals value, that if a dog doesn't prioritize you emotionally, something must be wrong. That belief feels obvious, and that's why it's dangerous. Because in real working environments, caring about you is often the exact thing that causes failure. People think caring means attention. They think it means checking in. They think it means following, watching, responding, reacting. They think a dog that doesn't do those things is detached. But detachment and independence are not the same thing. And confusing them is how people misunderstand this dog completely. This dog doesn't wake up thinking about you. He doesn't orient his decisions around your presence. He doesn't look for reassurance, approval, or emotional feedback. And that's not because he's broken. It's because the job doesn't care about your feelings. The job exists whether you're here or not. People want to be chosen. They want the dog to pick them over everything else, over the environment, over distractions, over responsibility. Because being chosen feels like love, but being chosen at the wrong moment is not loyalty, it's liability. In serious environments, the dog that chooses you instead of the job doesn't protect anything. He follows movement. He follows emotion. He follows attachment. And attachment collapses under pressure. This is where people get defensive. They hear doesn't care about you and assume it means the dog feels nothing. That's not what it means. It means he doesn't make decisions emotionally. It means his priorities are structural, not personal. And structure outlasts emotion every single time. People think a dog should want them, but wanting creates bias, and bias is the enemy of judgment. A dog that cares too much checks in constantly. He looks back. He hesitates. He waits for confirmation, and hesitation is how moments get missed. This dog doesn't hesitate, not because he's aggressive, not because he's impulsive, but because he already knows what matters. And what matters isn't you standing nearby. This dog doesn't care about being liked. He doesn't care about approval. He doesn't care about reassurance. He doesn't care about being emotionally validated, because validation doesn't protect anything. People think love should override duty, but duty exists specifically because emotion is unreliable. Emotion fluctuates. Emotion reacts. Emotion panics. Emotion gets distracted. Duty doesn't. This is why people struggle with dogs like this. They expect visible affection. They expect engagement. They expect proof. But proof in this context is invisible. This dog proves reliability by doing nothing, by not reacting when nothing matters, by not escalating when there's no reason, by not inserting himself into situations unnecessarily. That restraint looks like indifference to people who don't understand it, but it's discipline. Discipline is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't perform. It doesn't reassure observers. And that makes people nervous. People trust what moves. They trust what reacts. They trust what signals emotion. Stillness feels wrong, but stillness is often the highest form of control. This dog doesn't care about you enough to abandon the job, and that's the point. If something unfamiliar enters the environment, he doesn't rush to you. He doesn't seek guidance. He doesn't look for approval. He observes, because observation comes before decision. People think awareness looks busy, but real awareness is selective. This dog filters. Noise that doesn't matter gets ignored. Movement that belongs gets dismissed. Presence that isn't relevant gets filed away. That filtering is the work. And most people never see it, because filtering doesn't look impressive. This is why people try to fix dogs like this. They see restraint and call it distance. They see neutrality and call it lack of bond. So they intervene. They reward checking in. They encourage attention. They praise emotional response. And slowly, without realizing it, they teach the dog to care about the wrong things. The dog starts choosing them more often, and that feels good, until it fails. Reliability doesn't fail loudly. It erodes quietly. The dog hesitates once, then twice, then starts waiting for cues instead of deciding. And by the time someone notices, it's already gone. This dog doesn't care about you, not because you don't matter, but because caring about you would interfere with what does. People confuse care with commitment, but commitment isn't emotional. Commitment is consistent behavior under pressure. A dog that cares emotionally wants reassurance when things change. A dog that works wants clarity, and clarity doesn't come from attachment. This dog doesn't love you the way a pet loves you, and that's uncomfortable to hear, because people want love to look like priority. But priority belongs to responsibility, not affection. This is why experienced handlers value dogs that feel distant, not because they don't bond, but because they bond to the task. Bonding to the task creates reliability. Bonding to the person creates dependency, and dependency is fragile. This dog doesn't care if you're watching. He doesn't care if you're impressed. He doesn't care if you feel included. He cares whether the system stays intact. People think that's cold, but coldness isn't the absence of emotion. It's the presence of restraint. Restraint is harder than reaction. Anyone can react. Anyone can respond emotionally. Anyone can attach. Withholding response takes discipline. This dog doesn't rush to comfort you, because comfort isn't the job. And that's the part most people never accept. They want the dog to exist for them, but this dog exists for something larger than them. That doesn't mean there's no trust. It means the trust isn't emotional, it's functional. I trust him to make decisions without me, and he trusts me not to interfere when he's doing his job. That trust is quiet, and it doesn't look like affection. People often say they want a thinking dog, but when the dog actually thinks instead of reacts, they get uncomfortable, because thinking looks like doing nothing. This dog doesn't care about you, and because of that, he won't choose you at the wrong time. He won't follow you away from responsibility. He won't abandon the task for attention. He won't trade stability for reassurance. That's why he works. Not because he loves less, but because he prioritizes correctly. And most people never understand the difference. Because when a dog like this does his job well, nothing happens. No noise, no drama, no moment of heroism, just quiet prevention. And prevention never looks impressive. It just looks like a dog that doesn't care until the moment it matters. And then it's too late to teach. So when you see a dog like this, calm, quiet, uninterested in performing, don't assume he's disconnected. He may be the most reliable thing in the environment, not because he cares about you, but because he doesn't let caring get in the way of the job.